So I'm now going to arrange flowers in the container that I prepared in the last video using wire netting. And because here in West Wales we are on lockdown and the flowers in my garden have really seen their best, I couldn't actually buy any flowers because they're non-essential items. So I'm using preserved materials, and I'm starting off using the Molusella laevis, Bells of Ireland, which I have preserved in glycerine. I've used 1 part glycerine, 2 parts boiling water, and stand the stems, mix it all up well, and stand the stems in it, and they will drink it up, and it becomes much more soft, not as brittle as if it is air dried, although you can air dry it also. So I've just done a column of those up at the top part of the design, about 2/3 of the way back in the container, so I can go backwards if I need to, and just using the wire netting as the support. Then I have a phormium leaf which I plaited up. I did it like a box chain, and I sort of think of them a little bit like phormium snakes, and I've curled that round to be a circle which can come into the side there. And I have a few of the Strelitzia leaves which they've actually dried naturally on the plant. I have a plant that I was given when we moved from Worcestershire to Wales. Somebody gave me, a very good friend gave me a plant of the Strelitzia because she thought I might be able to keep it outdoors because I was coming nearer to the coast. In fact, actually, we're in a frost pocket, so we had to build a conservatory especially to house the Strelitzia that I'd been given. So working that down in through the netting to actually come in to the side of the design there, and I have another one which can come out to the opposite side. When you are using wire netting, you have to remember to leave your stems a little longer, and if these were fresh materials, you need to be doubly sure that they are actually going to go into the water. So I'll just straighten that one up a little bit and come in with another one on that side. What's my other one doing? That one's definitely a front one. Can come down to the front there, and this one can reinforce that line there. So I do use wire netting. It's a little bit like riding a bike. I was lucky enough to study at the Constance Spry Flower School, and I have used wire netting ever since, on and off. But of course we get a bit lazy, and so I have tended to use floral foam more, but now I am going back to using the wire netting as I was taught to use it at Spry's. So I needed a flower for the centre, so I have the dried leaves, air-dried leaves of the red curly kale, and I've just clustered into the centre a bunch of the helichrysum flowers, which when I pick them from the plant, I dry them on a wire. I put a wire down the centre and actually dry them on the wire. So that can come in almost as a focal, as a dominant piece into the centre. The container I'm using is one I've had for many, many years. It's one I'm very fond of. My flower club was lucky enough to have a potter, and she used to make pots and sell them on a sales table at the flower club. So in the 1970s I saved up my pocket money and I bought this Audrey Grantham pot from her sales table at my flower club, and I'm very pleased to be using it here today because it always reminds me of her. It's lovely to have things that remind you of people that you've known and people that you've known through flowers. So we put that down into the centre of the design. I have dried some of the hydrangea heads just by standing them in about 1 inch of water, and if you put them in 1 inch of water and let them drink up the water, they dry naturally. And I thought the colour of this picked up the pot rather nicely, so they can tuck in quite low in the arrangement. And just as a bit of a cover at the back. So it's going to be quite a simple design, and of course having dried materials or preserved materials, you can keep this through the winter. I think it'll probably attract some spiders and a bit of dust. It looks like I've got a bit of spider on there already. And one more piece in there. And then I have a little bit of the amaranthus, which I've air dried. You can glycerine this as well, but this particular one is air dried. A few little bits to go in at the front, just to pick up the colouring in the helichrysum and the curly kale. Once something is air dried, of course, it does become rather brittle, which is a little bit sad. And as you're handling it, you have to remember that. Another piece out through there. I have added wires and pieces of kebab stick to some of these to actually hold them, make a false stem for them. Piece dangling out the back there, like so. I could do with one more, I think, of the that one's a lovely shape, isn't it? I'll keep that one for something else, I think. I think we'll call it a day there. So there we have an arrangement made in wire netting of just purely preserved materials. Thank you for watching.